Dante and Beatrice are carried upwards in a river of light which leads ultimately to God.
It's movement and light and that image of the converging lines, apart from looking like a road on the way home, as it were, is much more than that. It's as if they're being drawn, but beyond the page, something which is ultimately inexpressible.
And even if I were as rich in words as in remembering, I would not dare describe the least part of such beauty's bliss.
Dante then experiences a vision of the Virgin Mary, the Church's most divine figure. But how was Botticelli to represent absolute perfection?
The female form is something which he was quite good at, as we know from some of his other drawings. But to express purity, he goes beyond that into this extraordinary sense of, it's not emptiness, but it's inexpressibleness.
Botticelli left the page blank.
It's perhaps the viewer who has to kind of think how to project his own idea of this eternal mother.
A lot of times blank pages in books get drawn upon by kind of the owner of the book. I think kind of a long tradition of defacing blank pages in books. Perhaps the person who owns the book's supposed to draw their own Virgin Mary on there. I would. I think heaven must be an incredibly boring place. I imagine not very much would be going on there. The popular notion of heaven wouldn't be interesting to us. I mean, good people are boring people.
Is paradise generally boring? I don't know. I think there's a vague suspicion that Inferno would be quite an interesting place to be, but that's probably because we only get to see it through Dante's eyes and nothing bad ever happens to Dante. He kind of wafts through it safely, and I suppose we all think that that's probably what would happen to us, whereas in fact we'd be down there in one of those pits being boiled alive.
I didn't get any further than hell in my book work. I got stuck quite early on in the game and got left at the far gates of hell and didn't get to purgatory, which is possibly only too true in my life.
Some moderns really live without hope, and therefore somehow hell expresses an inner torture, which is perhaps rather modern, in a sense.
In many ways, the history of the 20th century is a history of ever more refined versions of hell, isn't it?
We've been through a century, something like 150 million people being killed violently, and extermination camps and goodness knows what. I mean, genocidal massacres. It's very easy to think about hell.
These drawings by Botticelli are as modern as the most modern art. Because they're interesting to us now, I think they're modern.
Of course, now we have a funny hindsight to look at them with, which is the world of the comic book, the world of the cartoon, the world of the kind of quick lightning sketch. All that world we now feed back into it, and we can see the brilliance, possibly even more than its first audience could. To see these marks, incredibly refined, both meticulous and amazingly free, and of course makes any artist jealous to see somebody who seems day after day to be able to draw flames and plants and Dante and Beatrice as if they saw these things every day of their lives, and Dante was his best friend and Beatrice was next door.
He is translating the Divine Comedy for you. In a way, he's doing what I try to do, in words. I didn't do it as well as he did in illustration. you don't have to have read the Divine Comedy to appreciate the drawings. The drawings will tell you the story.
Do I like the drawings? And I've gone through various periods of loving and hating them. They're like a relative. You can't get rid of them. They're part of my flesh and blood. And so when I look at my life, I think actually in terms of what circle of hell I would be in. You know, would I be lucky enough to get into Purgatorio? And then I look at Botticelli's drawings. I learn from them visually. I love the drawings. I learn from them with every glance. With each look, you see something new. They are inexhaustible.